As we get around to the final quarter of the season, the fall 2021 anime season, it's time to establish the important question that we ask every single season. Yes, who is the best girl of the fall 2021 anime season? The title of best girl goes across a large spectrum. It could be the waifu, or it could be the cute girls whose smile you want to protect. And as always with these lists, the best part about them is hearing from you guys. Let me know in the comments after you watch this video, who is your best girl? Who is your best waifu? Who is that girl that you want to protect their smile? So without further ado, let's jump into my top 5 best girls of fall 2021 anime season. Starting with number 5, I have Miko of Bunroku-chan. Now, this is partly because I feel so bad for this girl. I just want her to be happy. But not only that, but she's adorable. I love her personality, and especially with this last episode, watching her run around this haunted house, just being happy that she can finally let it all out was absolutely fantastic. This show is doing so much stuff, and throughout the entire thing, it has a main character who I absolutely adore. I think she's fantastic. I love her personality, and most of all, I want to protect her smile. Coming into number 4, we have Irna of Irna the Vampire Cosmonaut. It didn't take me long getting into this series before I decided to make a post saying the many faces of Irna. Because that's literally what Irna the Vampire Cosmonaut is. It's the show about the many faces of Irna, this vampire who just, at first, she's a captive of this military to be used as a test pilot for space travel. But as we go along with the show and they start to get a little more comfortable with each other, her and the people surrounding her, you get to see that personality that she has within herself, a very goofy nature, despite the fact that she's gone through some absolutely horrific stuff, like seeing her parents be burned alive, being forced to be a test subject, the prospects of her survivability being literally zero no matter if she makes it or not, because she'll be experimented on and dissected. So for her ability to, despite this stuff, and even though it does weigh on her, to have these emotional moments where we get to see this goofy personality of her come out of nowhere, it's absolutely fantastic. She's pretty much waifu material. She's a goofball. Love her on the screen, and hey, there's a certain thing about vampires that a lot of people like. And don't forget, for some reason, the writer really likes those to be very descriptive of how she eats food. So if you like that eating fetish, there you go. Coming into my third pick for Best Girl of Fall 2021 anime season, we get Frederica. Frederica of 86 Part 2. Frederica had a fantastic introduction. And it's in that introduction that we establish 3 things very quickly. 1, we want to protect Frederica's smile. 2, her voice actress is Misaki Kuno, who is absolutely fantastic at what she does. Her way of bringing out a personality of a younger child is just perfect. She just pulls it off. And 3, she's a dork. But it spans so much more that as we get to know Frederica as a character, we get to see so much more about her lineage, what her involvement will be in the story, and what she essentially brings to the 86 as a group. It was interesting as it went along, even though I kind of scoffed at the idea of having this mascot character in a military platoon, there was a story behind it. And the way this particular writer crafts this story as it goes along has me extremely intrigued. I think Frederica's addition to the story is great, as both an anchor for the main character, but also a way of really telling a broader story about the world and specifically the Giad Empire, or the Giad Federacy. But again, coupling a fantastic seiyuu along with this character had so many fantastic scenes already. So many very emotional points. How she ties in the main cast to Kitty, one of the main focal points of the Legion, has been fantastic. I love her to death. She's great. She has some heart in there. There's so many amazing emotional conversations that happen surrounding her that I think she cemented herself in this series. Now, I absolutely love Lena. I think she has seen some significant growth, especially over the course of going into the end of the first part into the second part. But unfortunately, she has definitely been in the background. She hasn't had much time to shine and show us that potential. Even though these very brief scenes we've seen of her, I want to see more. So Frederica kind of takes the spotlight. So yeah, Frederica definitely goes in there as my number 3. Now getting into my number 2 best girl of fall 2021 anime season. As I gauge who is the best girl of the season, a lot of things take into consideration. One being, oh, they're cute. One being, oh my gosh, waifu material. I love their character designs, whatever. Some being emotional, impactful moments in shows. Some being character development specifically. With Tokoko of the Hige story, we definitely get into the perspective of just a phenomenally written character. Now granted, this is a character that is based off historical elements, but in the story of the Hige story, She was literally the show. Like, when I watched the Hike story, at some point, a lot of my focus of the story kind of went into the background. And as the story carried on, one thing kept to the core. One thing kept my focus. One thing always had my attention, and it was Tokoko. Tokoko's story is, unfortunately for this time period of history, a lot of women were essentially bargaining chips for power. So if somebody wanted to gain relation or power with another family, they would marry off their daughters. And Tokoko was that. But Tokoko wasn't just the sum of that. She had so much character. She was strong. She was bold. She protected those that she was loved. And despite her being stuck in the middle of this childish conflict that was constantly happening around her, she always had forgiveness, heart, and love behind her. And it was because of this that a lot of people's eyes were opened and a lot of people were comforted by her actions. Her bravery the story is about the fall of the Taira clan. The bravery that she's shown as that story unfolded was phenomenal. She was literally the most solidly written, solidly portrayed characters of this entire year. And she's definitely a character I will remember for a long time. Tokoko Taira is a phenomenal character and definitely deserves to be in the Best Girl Fall 2021 anime season. My number one spot goes to two girls. I'm cheating because it's my list. I'm cheating and I'm putting both Roxy and Eris in my number one Best Girl of the Fall 2021 anime seasons. I think I had them in the winter season when the show first started, and as we get part 2 in the Fall 2021 anime season, I can't ignore them again, and they will continue to be in the number one spot because they're both amazing. Now, granted, if it wasn't for the entire episode that we got of Roxy, I would probably have just given this number one spot to Eris. But as we got into this particular part, and I'm just like, Roxy's not existing and Eris is amazing, we got a Roxy episode. And then I was reminded how much I love Roxy. And so, yeah, I'm conflicted, and in the end, I would probably give it to Eris, just because she's been so much more focused this season, and her character is amazing. Every time she comes out there and protects Rudy, her tsundere nature, just how much of a change we've seen in her. I recently did a rewatch of the first part of Mushoku Tensei, and I was reminded just how combative Eris was. And I joked about the fact that technically the face that we first got of Eris is a face we never get pointed at Rudy anymore. Instead, it's always pointed at anybody that is in conflict with Rudy. Seeing that character development that we've had in her is so great, and I love her to death, and I will never stop loving Eris. But yes, Roxy was my first love of this series, and she will always remain my first love of this series, so it's kind of hard for me to step away from of Roxy. And getting her backstory was so good. I just loved how well they portrayed that entire episode. It was so emotional, so alienating for her. It was so impactful of an episode that I just love it to death. I will always love Roxy. Like I said, she's technically my first love of the series. But I need to stop. I'm going to sit here and gush about Mushoku Tensei, which I've done in literally all my videos pertaining to anything to isekai and whatnot. So for my honorable mentions, I have Yuzuku from Taisho Otomi Fairy Tail, Takashima Yuna from Yuki Yuna's a Hero, the Great Mankai chapter, Healing from Ranking of Kings, I love what they did with their character, and Nase from Platinum Inn, who is just full of heart. That is my top 5 best girls of Fall 2021 anime season. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said before, go down in the comments and let me know what your picks are. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can. Support us on Patreon or in the tips link in the description below. We definitely appreciate everybody that does, and y'all take care.